Hi guys, a long time no live. Just realized I have a smear of some black eyeliner on my face, but I don't care. Gonna go live anyways. I haven't been on a while because I had something sad happen in my family, and that's all I'm gonna say. And I needed to take over a week off because of that. So we are officially going into Samhain season. So I have my little skulls and my pumpkins behind me, and looking forward to that. Hi, Bettina. Nice to see that you are here. So we're going to start out by doing a royal reading because I know I keep getting emails, not recently, but in the past month before I took my little break, and people have been saying, can you please do royals again? And I don't want to upset my subscribers. So since I've had so many people ask, I'm going to do more royal videos, but I'm still going to do all the other stuff too. So first we're going to do an update on this debacle with Andrew, and that the Queen has been talking to him and saying, look, we've got to talk about stuff. We can't handle things the same way as before because you got yourself in a whole mess with American government and media and Epstein and all that crap. So we've got to revamp the image. We got to talk what you can be included in, what you can't be included in, as far as Prince Philip's birthday goes, as far as appearances go, how you're associated with the family. We have got to talk. So she's been discussing things with her son lately and all of that. We're going to do a reading about that. Then we're going to talk about, I'm going to try to get into my other voice, my voice up here, not down in my throat. It's really bad for you to keep using that tone down here. That's why I've had a raspy voice lately. So I'm going to try to talk up here in this area. So then we're going to talk about the pandemic podcast. And how I have that on Patreon. We're going to allude to what I'm really going to talk about when we get on Patreon. So I'm going to do a little mini reading on that, the pandemic, and updates on that, what's going on with it. But I will say more on Patreon because I can't say too much here because, YouTube monitors everything now. Always has, but they've done it more and more to the point where you're not even allowed to really have your freedom of speech as much anymore. So those are the two things we're going to do today. So for the first reading, we are going to go into Andrew and how she spoke to Andrew, the Queen. What is the Queen trying to accomplish by speaking to Andrew? What is on her mind regarding this Epstein debacle and the alleged activities that Andrew has had in association with underage girls and Epstein? What has the Queen been trying to do? Okay, so 8 of Wands reverse. She's putting a stop to something or holding something back. It could be a stop to the role that he has in the family. And 10 of Swords. There was a great defeat feeling because of this, a great tragedy. I need some more space on the table. Okay, and somebody felt deceived. So maybe she wasn't fully aware of his involvement, or he feels deceived because he didn't think that the family was going to cut him off like that or start to cut him off from things. This is she, the Queen of Pentacles, Elizabeth. And this is the tower crumbling around her. She doesn't want this to fully happen. She's trying to do damage control. And so she's going into her Queen of Swords energy like, I am the Queen of Pentacles, right? I'm Queen Elizabeth II, but I'm also the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is like, Pentacles is literally what she is because she's a Taurus, but the Queen of Swords, all of these cards actually can be archetypal. They don't have to be what sign you are. And if you take the Queen of Swords, which is an air sign, right? But on an archetypal level, it just means a bad bitch. It means like, I don't put up with shit, I don't take shit, and I'm ruthless, and I'm going to do what it takes. All right? That's her getting into that energy. I've reflected about this for some time, she says, the Hermit, but now it's time for us to go on a new chapter with the Wheel of Fortune, bring hope to the monarchy, or also this could be Philip because it's Aquarius. I've spoken to my husband about this. Look how he came up right after I said I've spoken to my husband about this. The King of Swords is Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, literally. Figuratively, again, it's that energy of single-minded focus. I don't let things get in my way. I focus on what I need to, and that's that. And I do what I want, no matter what anybody says. That's what that means archetypally. But literally, again, it's the air sign energy. We together, Elizabeth and Philip, Prince and Queen, because remember, he's not a king, are going to manifest balance. And that means being cautious with your image and your association with the family, Andrew. We want to keep this Ten of Pentacles image on our family. And we have the strength to do it. And that's got to come with taking some of your responsibilities out. It wasn't like a total, it's not making Andrew, this discussion that the Queen, or the discussions that the Queen has been having with Andrew, are not about cutting him off entirely from the family. But what they are about is limiting his involvement. So wheedling away at some of those Seven of Cups, taking away some of those cups. Making an agreement with him, telling him what she's going to do before she does it. The dark clouds are surrounding us. We want to have these light colored clouds around us, not the darkness. We want to be portrayed in the light, not the dark. And that has to come with reflecting good omens upon our family and growth. And you, Philip, the man in question, everybody is watching you. And because everybody is watching you, I think it's a good idea for you to go away for a while. I think she said something about him going away, literally, maybe to a different location entirely and hiding out, because we need to bring good luck and a good image on our family once again. Now, if he in fact has done the things that he has done, I feel like he has. I can't say he has for certain because it's not fully proven. And for legal reasons, I have to say alleged. However, if he has actually done what he's being accused of doing, do I think he should just go away somewhere and just stay out of business with the family? No, he should be prosecuted to the fullest extent, like everybody else who has done this should be. However, that's not the way it's going to work here, because he is elite and he is privileged. And as I have said from many, many times on this channel, relating to the royals and also relating to social justice issues that are going on in the world right now, with BLM, with the riots, with the protests, with the pandemic, the biggest disparity in this world is not your skin color. It is not your gender. It is not your sexual orientation. The point that we all miss, well, not we all, because a lot of my viewers understand this, but the point that humanity misses, the biggest disparity and inequality in this world is economic. It has nothing to do with all those other qualities. And yes, those qualities can affect your day-to-day life, discrimination you face, safety, right? You may feel less safe in certain scenarios if you're, for instance, any woman or minority male. But the one thing we all have in common, unless we're part of that group, is income disparity compared to an elite group of people that control this world. Therefore, people like Andrew, even if they are guilty, will not face full prosecution, because there are many snakes among us who we honor and esteem, that are in power, that are celebrities, that are royalty, that are all around this world, politicians, but they will never face repercussions for what they do, or they never face full repercussions for what they do, even if it's coming to light more with some of these movements that we have now. And what we all need to remember, in learning the lesson from people such as Andrew, who don't get any repercussions because of their wealth, if he is in fact guilty. Now, again, I say this is all alleged. Anything he did is alleged. I don't have proof for it, so I'm not going to say it's fact. But keep in mind that whenever you see one of these celebrities or you see one of these people of royalty getting away with things, regardless of their color, by the way, because there have been people who were African-American sports stars that I'm not going to name that have gotten away with things that I feel that they've done. So it doesn't always come down to race. A lot of times it comes down to privilege and economics. Just remember that that's a reminder of the true disparity in this world that covers everybody. That's a reminder of the true us versus them. And it's all of us versus a very small group. And this is just a reminder of that. The fact that he's never really going to face true repercussions for something. If he had in fact done it, I don't know for sure because I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not involved in a case. But I can say if he did, he will never face full repercussions for it. And it is because he is part of that group. And so right now, the Queen is just doing damage control. She knows nothing's really going to fully happen to her son. She just doesn't want her pretty little family to look negative in a negative light. So she doesn't want to look back on the past anymore. She wants hope for the future. And she wants people to trust them again. Seven of Swords reversed, because she knows that they don't trust them. Like, the people don't trust the royals. They have low confidence in them now because, you know, I don't want to make a comparison between what Andrew did and people disliking Meghan Markle, because quite frankly, I think it's sickening and ridiculous that people hate Meghan so much, yet they don't hate Andrew. Let's just say because there are people that hate Meghan for irrational reasons, okay? Because of what happened with Meghan and the people who hate her for irrational reasons, and because of what Andrew allegedly did, the whole image of the family has been brought down, right? And the Queen is like, I want us to be looked at favorably with the Sun and the Ace of Pentacles. So what can I do about this? I want to return to a time of nostalgia for the royal family. And she's really going to utilize, as I've said many, many times, putting Kate and William front and center. It involves William. See, bottom of the deck. It's like this, bottom of the deck. Middle of the deck, Queen of Swords, Elizabeth. She loves William. He has now become her favorite. It used to be Harry, now it's William. And it's all about damage control. Go away for a while. She wants him to go somewhere, maybe one of their estates in a different country and hide out. Or up in Scotland. She wants to put an end, the coffin, to this whole situation. And she wants people to look at happier times. Because of the calamity that has kept her back from celebrating the good omens of the family and what a good reign she has had, that she feels she's had. She feels like it put a damper on it or a blemish on it. So now we're going to go to the world. What is going on in this world right now? My. I wish I could publicly say what I really feel, but it's too risky with my channel and what already happened with that JFK video I did a while ago. All I can say, as vaguely as possible, without being too descriptive, which I will be on Patreon. You could subscribe for the pandemic videos only. It's $2. For royal videos only, it's $2. I have it very affordable for everybody. If you want all videos I do, including the signs, pandemics, royals, and then sometimes do Palladians. I'm going to do another Palladian. I haven't done those in a while. A Palladian message to humanity. If you want to watch all those videos together, it's $5.99. So I have decent prices. Go on Patreon if you want to hear this more in depth, but I'm going to go over it. What we're facing right now is a classic example of divide and conquer. We are being very manipulated into a time continuum, as I have said on my last video, or a timeline that I feel like we're not going to come away from at this point. We're essentially trapped in our own levels of despair and fear. There are others. There are those who still have hope. I am one of them. I still have hope for my life and for others' lives. But for humanity as a whole, and the human race in general, it looks pretty bleak. I'm not going to lie. A rose can always grow out of the cement, right? So there's always a chance to thrive, even when conditions are difficult. I'm not saying there's not. I'm not putting anybody down and saying your dreams are impossible because of what's going on in the world. You can't do what you want to do. Absolutely, you still can. I still have hope for my life. But what I'm saying is, regardless if you still have hope, regardless if you still have visions for your life and a destination you can still get to, figuratively and literally, the future is quite bleak based on what has been happening in the collective unconscious. I'm not going to pretend it's not. The way people have been divided over and over and over again and been had basically and allowed themselves to have been had and not see what's going on, what's being done to them in organizations such as Antifa, in organizations such as Black Lives Matter, being used for something else other than what they really originally were supposed to stand for, which they're being used for anarchy and destruction and chaos to divide the masses so that we're not paying attention to, as I said, the overall theme of a small elite group controlling the world and all the rest of us down at the bottom. Because people are allowing themselves in such large numbers to be had by this energy, I just don't see enough people waking up from it in time. And what I mean is, as things come to a head in November on the United States election, I see that regardless of what the intended result is, there's going to be chaos. And in fact, I think what we're escalating towards is a very deceptive and illegal overthrow of who will be voted in. And it's because at this point, I can tell you what my initial instinct has been from the beginning is that I think the president will get a second term. I've thought this for a while. It's not a popular opinion and it's not a popular intuition, but this is what I've felt since the beginning. The reason being is there is a silent majority, and I strongly feel that the silent majority is actually not on the left. There also is a growing movement called Walk Away, and there's another growing movement called Blexit. One is African Americans who no longer want to be in the Democratic Party because how it hasn't really ever done anything it promised them. And the other is a growing movement of Democrats who are now turning over to the right, not because they are really conservative, but simply because they are so disgusted with what has happened with the rioting and the mandated lockdowns, the long-term lockdowns of many left cities and left states. So, and what happened in Portland, etc., refusing federal aid, I don't know why, out of spite, and letting the city burn. So there have been people who have been quite disgusted with that side. Not that the right is perfect, but that's the reason why, because the majority of the violence right now is coming from people who have infiltrated the left. And not everybody on the left is like that. I want to make that clear. I've gotten into arguments with people who have remained on the left about this, who are very adamant that no, not everybody's like that. Well, yes, of course, not everybody's like that. But the problem is a few groups have infiltrated that side. That's the side that's been fully infiltrated. That's the problem. And that's the side that's being utilized ultimately for one government. That is the side that will bring in the one government. And it's not necessarily, like I said, that the other side is so much better. If anything, the other side is only going to delay it by another 4 years. Because at this point, I do see the escalation toward that goal as being almost inevitable at this point. So what do we do between now and November and after November? What do we do with the pandemic still going around, because it ties all into this? Well, the pandemic is also a convenient distraction. Not that it's not real, it is real. I have a healthcare professional in my family who's seen people die from it, mostly over the age of 70. But nevertheless, I know people who have also been very ill with it who are young. So I do know it's real. However, as I've mentioned many times before, tuberculosis was real. Smallpox was real, right? Smallpox was a highly contagious virus that wiped out entire communities, but we did not shut down the world for smallpox. That's the difference right there. It's not that this is not contagious. It's not that it's not fatal, but people, for whatever reason, perhaps because of their smartphones, perhaps because of their just apathy, because of the way the world has become, you know, the marriage rate has now declined, the birth rate has declined. People aren't quite as happy as they used to be. And that does partially have to do with the technology and the distractions and replacing human beings with phones and smart devices. People are not aware as to what is really going on with this because of that, and that something that is less virulent than smallpox has caused the world to be shut down, and possibly could shut it down again in the near future. I mean, New Zealand, from what I understand, is forcing anybody who is with a partner who tests positive for COVID, even if it's just your partner who tests positive for it, to be mandatory, thrown away into a quarantine center for 14 days. This is what I've been hearing. And Australia is locking down people yet again for what, compared to the whole population, is a fairly low number. You can look up the numbers for yourself. If you go on, I would recommend going on the search engine DuckDuckGo, also referencing David Icke's website or the London Real website to get more information on that. But some people, you know, they want to have all their rights taken away in order to feel safe. And it's often those who are part of the crowd that is privileged enough to work from home, to not have to go out and find another job, to not lose their job because of that, and who continuously vote in people who pass policies that would seem politically correct while they live in their neighborhoods away from that, right? So this is what we're seeing with a lot of members, for instance, in New York City and the Upper West Side. They are all leaving because they don't like the homeless being housed near them, and they don't like seeing the ugliness of previous offenders, whether they were just violent offenders, or not just, I don't want to downplay it, whether they were violent only offenders or sex offenders as well, which is also a violent crime, but I'm talking about like manslaughter versus rape, or if they were burglars or grand, you know, larceny, whatever, who are upset that these individuals are being housed in hotels near them. Yet these are the same people who have voted in policymakers such as de Blasio who support this kind of thing. And because you know why? They thought that it would never be in their neighborhood. So these hypocrites are the same people who are supporting something that is making people who are of a working class or lower class completely destitute, lose their jobs, not being able to find another job because they can sit in their ivory towers and work online at their corporate jobs that are now remote, right? Because somebody who works down at the grocery store who is part of the lower class doesn't have that privilege. Well, the grocery store wouldn't lose their job. Let me think of something else. Somebody who worked at a restaurant that had to downsize all of their employees because they can't do indoor dining, or they haven't been able to do enough to sustain their business, will shut down, and those workers will lose their jobs. because the people who vote in politicians that feel mandatory lockdowns for long periods of time is absolutely what we need to do, and they want to be in fear the whole rest of their lives. If there was never a vaccine or a cure or anything, they would rather be in fear the whole rest of their lives and have everybody else starve so that they can sit home and type on their computer. Quite frankly, that's what it is. And then say they care about the lives of people who are poor and pay their taxes for it, and particularly poor minorities who are affected by it. And those are the same people who are leaving the Upper West Side in Manhattan. So we have these types of situations, and I don't think that the support of government, tell me what to do, government protect me and make more laws to force me to stay inside, that support's not going to go away anytime soon. That brainwashing isn't going to go away anytime soon with that group of people. And yes, more people are awakening to the truth, and that this pandemic is being utilized as more than just, it's a virus that happened to go around and everybody got sick and we need to protect you. People are realizing it's more than just that. And it's being utilized as a means to control a population, to keep our morale down and in the level of apathy, which is a very low vibration, and despair. Apathy is the highest one probably, then sadness, then despair, then suicide ideations, and then actual suicide. To keep people in those levels of low vibration, because when you don't have food, you don't have a job. Even if you do have a job, but you have no social interaction, what happens? You have more and more people who become apathetic and then depressed after the apathy ends. And when you have people who are depressed and apathetic, they're not paying attention to what's really going on. They're not paying attention to when laws might be changed, or when mail-in ballots might be fraudulent, or when Fauci made it perfectly clear that it was safe to vote in person, yet the far left is in utter refusal to do that and wants to do mail-in ballots. Isn't that interesting? When he was believed for everything he said by people, particularly on the left, now all of a sudden we have to do mail-in ballots when he said it was safe to do it in person. Interesting. So what we're driving towards and escalating towards right now in the world is something, it's almost like kind of like it's written. And I very much disagree with some readers who say, if we just think positive, we're all going to stop it. Well, see, that's the problem. Some things we really don't have a full control over. We have full control over our reality, our perception of reality, and our attitude towards it. That's what we have control over. But we don't really have control over what an elite group of people is going to do if the majority of the world does not uprise. If the majority of the world is still not uprising towards this, we will not be able to stop it. And the majority is still not uprising. So what do you do now that you know that this is basically set on a path? It's on course to go on the path, and further restrictions will be in the future, and further controls, and not just that, but possibly more chaos. Well, the only thing that you can do is, I absolutely encourage, if you would like your voice to be heard, to vote. I personally don't usually vote because I just think that the way our system is set up, personally, I think that based on the states that I've always lived in, it wouldn't really make much of a difference. This year it may. But if that's how you personally want your voice to be heard, then vote. If you feel like your voice can be heard in another way, do it in another way. Make your voice heard is what I would say you could do. Don't act like nothing is happening all around you, because that's just living in a state of denial. I would say to accept and recognize what is happening around you. Not accept it and say it's okay, but recognize it for what it is, being able to see for what it is, and vocalize when it's not okay for you. You don't accept it. If you're safe to do so, right? I don't want to put yourself in danger. But vocalize when it's not acceptable to you. What are you not accepting about this reality right now? What do you not want to accept? Vocalize that. And just try to live your life day to day as peacefully and as happily as you can, wherever that may be. And focus towards bettering the quality of your life every day, and also perhaps bettering the quality of somebody else's life every day. Because unless you are, and if you are homeless, I'm very sorry to hear that, and I hope that everything is okay and that you find a shelter soon and food and the necessities you need. But unless you are homeless and you're in that state of reality right now, there's a lot you can be thankful for. And this brings me to the season that we're in, because actually before Thanksgiving existed, and Thanksgiving is just a very American holiday anyways, it doesn't really cover, other cultures or the world. Mabon existed, and Mabon is all about being grateful, and Mabon has to do with the harvest and giving birth to the second part of the year. And the official celebration of the second half of the year in Celtic paganism is Samhain, which is Halloween, where Halloween comes from. It is the Irish, Scottish, Celtic holiday of the dead, revering the ancestors, and also fearing the dead and being respectful of the dead so they don't haunt you, is what they really believed. He used to do sacrifices to the dead, etc. Any sacrifice I'd do would involve wine and food. It wouldn't be any of that stuff, though, by the way. It would be an altar with wine and food. But Mabon is really that pre-Samhain holiday that celebrates all of the things that we need to be grateful for. And so that's my real Thanksgiving as practicing Wiccan and pagan. I usually just call myself a white witch, because Wiccan is some of the stuff I don't fully practice, so I wouldn't necessarily use that term as like a slang term, but I wouldn't say I'm an actual one, because I don't follow all the aspects of the religion, even though it's a wonderful religion. I would say I'm very influenced by it. But what you can do is you can try to assert your beliefs and your non-acceptance of certain things, and you can also just try to show others some level of compassion who are doing not so well in their life, and you have some things to be grateful for. Because it helps remove your mind off of the woe is me energy, or why don't I have this, and how come my life never turns out okay, and how come the world is like this, and I'm so scared for what's going to happen in a few months. It helps relieve your mind off of it, because some people, which has become a very real reality for them since the pandemic and the economic disparity because of it, it's become a very real reality that they're starving, that they're homeless, and it may not have even been a few months ago that they were. There's more homeless, more starving, more hungry than there were before because of what happened. So it's a good reminder to think, what can I be thankful for, even if it's that I have clean running water? And how do I make somebody else's life a little bit better if I see that they need help? If it's safe to do so. I always say that, because I don't want you to put yourself in a dangerous situation. Okay? Because even if we can't change the timeline that we're going on fully, we can change how we live day to day, and we can help improve our life and the lives of others. Most of what we experience in this life are just a collection of events and memories. When somebody leaves this life and passes away, we think about them through the memories that they gave us. We don't think of the times that we spent with them in any continuous straight line. I mean, maybe some of you do, but we think of moments. And the reason why we think of certain moments when somebody passes away is because those moments had very specific meanings to us emotionally. And ultimately, that is what a fulfilled life, in my opinion, can be led by, is through meaning. And how do you gain meaning? And part of gaining meaning is giving forth to others, or giving support to others who need it, because that is how ultimate meaning of your reality can be found and created. It's when you understand that it's not just about you. Just like I was saying earlier, those people leaving the Upper West Side who, when they vote, they think it's nice that they want to vote for these programs to help other people and help the minorities that they don't live near. And yet, when they're faced with the same things that they vote for, and it was chosen by their government that they voted for and imposed on them, they don't like it. I'm not saying somebody should have to live near people who are newly released from jail. They shouldn't have to do that. But at the same time, don't vote for policies that impose that on other communities just because you think it's the right thing to do. Maybe the right thing to do is to individually, one-on-one, help somebody instead of voting for a government to tell you to do it or to tell you how you have to live. Maybe it's more people need to do things on an individual level rather than a collective governmental group level. And it's in making those individual decisions to use your time and your energy, not just for yourself, but for others. And through giving forth that energy to others and remembering that it's not just about you and that there might be somebody who has it harder, that helps to lift the vibration that we're in. And it helps to lift our own vibration, and it helps to lift the vibration of others. And really, I truly believe what they're trying to do, and I do believe the pandemic was released. I don't think it was accidental. I think it was intentional, and I think it was released. Do I have factual proof of this? No, that's my feeling. That's been my feeling from the beginning. Bat soup my ass. But anyways, so, and I said this way before when everybody said I was crazy. The family members and friends. Oh, it came from a soup. It came from, I'm like, really? It was so obvious too, like the racist stereotypes implied in that, assuming it was from a bat soup. But anyways, so this was intentionally released as a distraction, population control, and also an energy damper. It's something that has lowered people's vibrations, and it's not from getting it necessarily, it's from the fear of it and the restrictions around it and all the ways our lives have changed. So part of this not making it only about yourself and living day to day and trying to do what you enjoy and also improve somebody else's life will lift your vibration. And in lifting your vibration, it helps all of us. If we can all do that individually and collect that energy together, we can help push back against the negative vibration that's being imposed upon us. And that's how we can help to push back and resist on it, that we can resist the timeline and the path that we're hurtling towards right now. If we can have a mass awakening where everybody can really just go out and protest that one thing that's ruling everything or that one group, that would be wonderful, but we're not at that point yet. And so this is why I offer this bit of advice on what you can do on your individual level. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to look at the comments now, and I'm going to go much more in depth on this on Patreon, and really say what I'm thinking about some of the child trafficking stuff that's been going on in the news, and in correlation with the election and what I feel like is going to happen with the election. I'm going to be very clear on the Patreon with that. I hope that this talk was meaningful to you, and I'm just going to look at your comments now. Well, I'm glad that you are good, Catherine, in South Australia. I heard that there was one state in Australia that was really going crazy. I forgot. Was it Victoria? I don't remember which one it was, but there was some place in Australia that I heard about. I'll reference that on Patreon because I'm going to go in more detail about that stuff. I heard that there was a place in Australia that was going very extreme with the lockdowns and the measures and then locking everybody down again over a few cases. I'm happy to hear that, Mallory. That's good. I'm glad that things have helped on this channel for you. All right, so I'm going to get off of here, and I want to do, I don't know if I'll post them by tonight, but I'm going to do a few things for Patreon. So I'm going to do more in depth on the child trafficking and all of that going on in the world and how that ties into the pandemic and the election, and that the child trafficking is being exposed more. And I'm also going to do a timeless reading on earth, air, water, fire, what you need to know right now, but it will be specific to each element. So it'll be more specific than the just general what you need to know right now readings that I do on YouTube. And probably in the next day or so on YouTube, the next video I'm going to do for the pick a card is going to be for all signs, another general one. It will be what will happen in the next week. So I'll do another what will happen in the next week one. But for Patreon, it's going to be earth, air, water, fire. Each one will get their own video of what you need to know. And then we'll do the pandemic in depth about the child trafficking and how it ties in with that and the election and stuff. So thank you again for watching. Thank you, Gigi. Well, a lot of that with my makeup has to do with lighting. There are some videos where I look like so crappy in because the lighting's bad. I really don't care enough to change it. I'm not vain enough to change it. And then other videos, like when I use the other camera, I look very blurry and the sound quality wasn't good. I'm sorry about that. That I do care about because I want you guys to hear me. This camera's a lot better, so you can also see all my flaws too, but I don't care. But, you know, it really just depends on the light if you can actually see better. So thank you. It does affect, lighting has a big effect on the way you look. And this camera, I would say, than the other one I was using where I was further away and it was more blurry. This is actually more what I really look like. That other camera actually distorted the way I looked. I think it made me look thinner too. Again, don't care enough about that to do that intentionally, but yeah, thank you, Gigi. I explain a lot. I notice I do that. I don't know why. But anyway, so that's it. And everybody watching, just rest. You might need to rest some more and be more peaceful. Maybe you haven't been resting enough. Collect your thoughts. Ace of Swords. Let go of some kind of loss that you've had, or you're letting go of a loss. And it's time to remember who you are. Queen of Swords reversed. Don't let things get you down. Remember, you're this, you're this bad bitch. Pardon my language, but I don't know any other way to describe the Queen of Swords. She's just like, she knows what she's doing and she doesn't let anybody stop her. And she will do what she can do, and nobody's going to tell her otherwise. Remember that that's who you are. Don't let the things in life that have hurt you or whatever is going on get you down. Take care of yourself. Self-care, rest, collect your thoughts, and then move forward. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. We can return to a happier time. You can return to a happier time in your life. It is possible. All right. Thank you for watching, you guys. And if you haven't subscribed to Patreon, if you can, I suggest you do so because I can really be very clear and more detailed about the pandemic and things like that on there. I also have I do bonus royal videos on there. So I have one about Harry and how his smile is really just a smile and he's smiling through sadness right now is what I'm picking up on him. So I have that on Patreon too. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.